Warm greetings from the high 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans on the Saturday, May 9th, 2020. Amen, amen. I want to thank you all for joining me. I want to thank you all for the wonderful prayers and the wonderful comments pertaining to my brother Buck. He's doing well. I spoke with him yesterday evening. He was released from the hospital and he was doing mighty, mighty fine. Eating fruit at the time. Matter of fact, he was eating it like he had been held hostage in that hospital, because I was thinking, did they not feed you, honey? Because you eating that fruit like you've been in there a while. But grace to God, he's doing well, and he's going to follow the regimen instructed by the doctors, hopefully. So that is good news. And thank you all so much for praying for Buck. I really appreciate that. And he was very grateful. He let everyone know by social media that he was very thankful for the prayers for him, and thanking you all as well. And I appreciate that. I want to bring you all some sad information coming out of Clinton, Tennessee. This is a story of a man who was gunned down by the police last summer. And I brought you all this story on my channel when I first jumped on to YouTube. And I also uploaded a video of the shooting. It was a upload from someone's Facebook account, and I shared it with YouTube. And it doesn't show the actual shooting, but it shows him out in the street bartering with the police at the time. And I'm going to bring you that sad information pertaining to this case. And this is the update pertaining to that fatal shooting of African-American male in Clinton, Tennessee. If you need verification for the storyline, please log on to WVLT 8 News. Officers authorized to use lethal force in shooting that killed Clinton man. District Attorney General Dave Clark released the findings from an investigation of a 2019 officer-involved shooting that left a 51-year-old man dead. On August 13, 2019, Jerry Orlando Weaver was shot and killed after a reported standoff with officers in the 600 block of W. Broad Street. No officers were injured. Officers had responded to the area for reports of a suicidal man with a firearm. According to the district attorney, Weaver had a gun pointed at his head and refused repeated requests from officers to put down the weapon. Officers said Weaver made statements saying that he would shoot himself, that officers would have to kill him, and would not go back to prison. The release said Weaver knew the Tennessee Department of Corrections would petition to revoke his parole and send him back to prison. The district attorney concluded that Weaver made comments to friends and family in the 24 hours before the shooting that he was motivated to hurt himself or force police to hurt him in order to avoid returning to prison. According to the release, 3 of the approximately 12 officers on the scene took up a somewhat exposed position closest to Weaver so that they could speak with him and attempt to de-escalate the situation. To the extent they could, they used a ballistic shield for cover as they spoke to Weaver. According to the release, 15 minutes into the standoff, Weaver allegedly pointed the weapon at 3 officers and moved towards them in what was described as a trot and also a lunge. The district attorney said the 3 officers shot at and struck Weaver, who was transported to an area hospital for treatment. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation retrieved Weaver's weapon, a 9mm, which had no ammunition, and investigators couldn't find any spent cartridges on the scene. Weaver's family and neighbors were among those who witnessed what happened, according to the release. According to the autopsy results, the district attorney said Weaver had been shot at least 11 times and that he had meth, cocaine, amphetamine, and other drugs in his system. The district attorney concluded that the officers were authorized to use lethal force in the incident, citing Weaver's previous criminal history and statement from family, and adding that officers would not have known Weaver's gun was unloaded. WVLT 8 News is the source. I made a video about this case last year. I was upset, tearful, because it was sad, because obviously Mr. Weaver had a mental issue. Now, naturally, every cop, every civilian is not going to know that a person is mental when they start acting out, making threats to themselves, others. And I understand they felt the need to use force because he had a weapon. But where I had the problem is that you shot him 11 times, allegedly, or more. It was rumored 19 times. And that's why I was so irate in the video I made last summer. I don't think it took 11 11 shots to kill anybody. We already know that. I also wonder why they didn't use a taser. And if you knew his history, then you knew that he had mental problems. Or are you speaking of his criminal history? And he obviously does have a criminal history. And I also believe a criminal history dealing with the police. But I'm not here to argue that. The point is, I think if the family alleges that he has a mental problem, then they should have called someone to possibly have him committed for evaluation instead of letting this go on into a new day, and then he pulls out a weapon, which now we find out didn't have any bullets in it to lead to him being dead. Because you see, you can't make a grown person do anything. You can't make a grown person take medicine. But calling somebody ahead of time and say, hey, she's acting out, they need some help ASAP. That should have been the appropriate thing to do 24 hours beforehand. Killing him 11 times. Yeah, I said it, killing him 11 times. Shoot 11 times was a bit extreme. Whatever happened to using a taser? I wonder why they didn't use a taser. In the video that I saw that was uploaded to Facebook, it shows that the men who took a stance against Mr. Weaver were awfully close to him. So that's why I mentioned the taser. Because I thought, if you got a taser, and you got a guy over here to the side of him near a house and bent down by a car, you allegedly got people in front of him, whatever happened to the taser, or whatever happened to shooting the wound? Did he lunge at them with a gun? I don't know, I wasn't there. And that part of the video I could not see. And that's where I have the problem as well. Did Mr. Weaver actually lunge at the police, point to the police, and or threaten them with the gun? But we already know this is a good old boy South. And the fact that he's an African-American man standing there with the gun is bad enough. And who's going to actually say he did not point the gun? He did not lunge at them. And this other comment they're making about him not wanting to go back to prison. Well, let's talk about that for a second. What does that mean exactly? Why would he... That conversation that the family is making that he mentioned the day before he didn't want to go back to prison. Well, I'm trying to figure out why did he think he would be going back? If he wanted to hurt himself, he could have easily just went in a separate room, went by the lake, the river, took his own life and been done with it. But the fact that we now find out he didn't even have bullets in it means he really didn't want to die. It was just a ruse for attention, lashing out, a plea for help. But as I state, I know, of course, law enforcement will not know that when you're handling a gun and brandishing a gun. Sad tale. But I just don't understand that statement, that he didn't want to go back to prison. I'm trying to figure out what is it that he did, or did he do something? Because I'm trying to find the correlation between that statement and the police going to have to take me down. As I state, if he felt like he wanted to die, he could have easily put the bullets in the gun and went somewhere privately and shot himself without brandishing it that day. And they killed him. So it almost makes me think he wanted to die, but he didn't want to be the one to do it. I don't know. I just think right now I'm grappling with that comment that he didn't want to go back to prison. Just something about that statement doesn't make sense to me because I'm trying to figure out what is it that he did that he felt like he would go back to prison for. Because they correlate that comment with him saying, oh, the law would have to take me down. But that still makes no sense. Because why would the law need to take you down? So it makes me wonder, did he even plan this? I don't know. Nonetheless, it's a baffling story. And as you see, TBI has deemed it lawful, the shooting of Mr. Weaver 11 times. And that's the said information. Like, share, subscribe, drop your comments below. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Please stay safe out there. Mask up, glove up. Put the items in the appropriate receptacles when you are done using them or you feel like you've used them enough. Prayers for America. Prayers for all of us, because Lord knows we surely need it. And praying for a better day to where we can walk amongst the living without mask and gloves on and feel safe to breathe, cough, sneeze. Amen. Everyday Shenanigans. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.